So Matthew Tickal, he's number 27th on the leaderboard. He is the 2 seed. He'll get to be on the play for this matchup, facing off against Tom Ross. For those of you joining us, Matthias Hunt and Ryan Overt are bringing you the quarterfinals here of the Columbus Open on the SCG Tour.
This is a big weekend for Tickal. He's just outside of that top 16 on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
A first place finish here would be tremendous. Go leaps and bounds in climbing up those ranks.
Yeah, I mean, even with this top 8 means 15 points, means a great shot of already being in the top 16. That's buys for future events, but for these grinders, a win is really where it's at.
Every point matters.
And it's going to be Matthew Tickal with the first play of the game. It's going to be a copy of Jace.
Tom Ross is pretty flush with the answers to this Jace. Let's see if he has one. There's some Fiery Impulse, some Grasp of Darkness, Draconic Roar.
Jace is one of those, the good part about Rally is that it's fairly resistant to these kill spells. A lot of times you'll see decks really relying on Jace to do work. I think if Tickal loses his creatures, I don't know how much he cares.
Yeah, the 1-for-1 removal does not gain you as much advantage against a deck like Rally as it does against a deck trying to play ABC Magic. Though the one that you do want to remove immediately is going to be Jace Finn's Prodigy. The looting ability is huge here. The ability to flashback Collected Company, you just got to get that off the table.
Draconic Roar revealing Thunderbreak Regent was the play for Tom Ross, so Tickal down to 17.
Killing Nantuko Husk right away, significantly less important. The turn 3 is not necessarily a turn where Tom's going to have action. Basically looking at Flamewake Phoenix and Thopter Engineer. Could be Hangerback Walker too, that one is a turn late.
So Nantuko Husk, the turn 3 play for Tickal. We go back to Tom Ross, his third turn. And it will be a Hangerback Walker from Tom.
Yep, not the most exciting play here, but no real reason to play a removal spell on the Husk. What's really going to matter for Tom are his 4th and 5th turns, getting those big flyers into play.
And for Tickal, it'll be Reflector Mage. He'll put the Hangerback into Tom's hand, swing with Husk, Tom down to 17, and he'll pass. Now we know Tom has a Thunderbreak Regent in waiting. We'll see if he wants to go that way. Draws a Flamewake Phoenix for the turn.
Regent definitely a stronger play here than the Phoenix. Frequently, it's just correct to sequence your haste creature after your creature without haste. That way they're both jamming on the same turn. You get in the same amount of damage on the balance with the first attack with the Regent next turn as compared to both attacks with the Phoenix. So it's going to be 4 total, though Dragon into Phoenix will give you 6.
Yeah, and now the danger here, though, is that 1-2 punch we've been seeing out of this red-black Dragons deck. If Tickal does not remove the Thunderbreak Regent from the board, there is a chance that Tom will dash a Kolagon, the Storm's Fury, dealing 12 damage in the air on the next turn.
Not quite lethal. He would only be mostly dead, but heck of a start anyway.
Well, for Matthew, he fetches for up land number 5. You see there the Storm's Fury. This has been the story of the weekend. We watched a lot of these red-black Dragons decks. They kill so quickly.
It's really funny, too, because this is a card that has been in Standard for some time.
Yeah, it and Thunderbreak Regent have both been around for a while.
Yeah. Haven't seen a ton of Kolagon decks. It's been pretty powerful, though, overshadowed by cards like Siege Rhino and various other cards. Mantis Rider, of course, taking the spotlight.
But look at this play from Matthew Tickal. His turn 5 will be a main phase Collected Company. He gets a Reflector Mage and a Nantuko Husk, so 2nd copies of each. The Mage bounces the Dragon back to Tom's hand, a swing in for 4 damage.
That 2nd Mage is huge here.
Yeah. Matthew, 5 lands in play. He has double white, one of all of his other colors. He is set up to rally some ancestors.
Yeah, even on this table, something like sacrificing the Reflector Mage to the Husk gives it +2 for the turn, so you're even on damage for that turn. You can just rally back those mages, bounce whatever Tom plays, sacrifice them again.
And that might even just be lethal. That's 4 creatures you've sacrificed.
Yeah, we have 8 damage on the table. We rally back for the 2 Reflector Mages and the Jace. That gives us 6 more. That's 14.
So can Tom survive that? Tickal, with 1 rally, could have this one sewn up as early as turn 6.
If there's an out for Tom, he's going to think about it. We're not going to see him rush through this turn here.
So the play from Tom is going to be a Flamewake Phoenix. It will attack.
We've seen him cast a lot of post-combat Flamewake Phoenix to try to get a block in. He knows that's not going to be good enough here.
And here's Hangerback Walker. So Tom chooses not to play around Rally the Ancestors, deciding he just can't beat it. And that should be game one for Matthew Tickal.
Yep. Sacrifices Reflector Mages, get them back, bounce that Hangerback Walker, clear the path, punch Tom real hard, go to game two.
And you see he's found just that. This works too. He's going to sack all 3 to Nantuko Husk. It's up to an 8-8.
Yep, not super important which Husk you sacrifice him to.
Rally everyone back. Here's 4 more creatures. He'll bounce all of Tom's things. Here's a swing with Husk. He'll sacrifice everything else. That's 7 creatures to the Husk. A total of 16 damage. And game one for Matthew Tickal in 4-color Rally.
Yeah, in very impressive fashion. The Rally deck is not usually able to combo that quickly.
No, not at all. I mean, how good is Reflector Mage? The fact they had back-to-back mages made that look easy. He was even bouncing Thunderbreak Regents with it. You know, there's downside to that play.
Yeah, you have to take 3 to bounce the Thunderbreak region, but it enables him to get in for some significant damage. Clearly enough to actually end the game. So 3 is a small price to pay for a victory.
All right, well, Matthew Tickal up 1-0. We're going to go ahead and look at the sideboards here, starting with Tom Ross. So he's down a game. We saw him pull one out last round against Kent Ketter. Over on the sideboard, we have 2 copies of Kolaghan's Command, 2 copies of Kozilek's Return, 4 Self-Inflicted Wounds, an Obnixilis, a Crux of Fate, a full play set of Transgress the Mind End, one which I just have to imagine he'll be using, a Kalitas Trader of Get.
Yeah, Kalitas is a no-brainer here. Tom does not have additional duress in the sideboard. He does have the 2 main deck duress, which is good. Those will be able to catch Collected Company and Rally the Ancestors. Unfortunately, the Transgress the Minds, they only catch the Collected Company. They don't catch the Rally, but they do catch any 3-mana creature. So I imagine we'll see some number of those coming in. Self-Inflicted Wound is a removal spell that is going to pressure Tickal's life total, but not going to be super relevant in the actual game. So I like having targeted removal over that, and you just hope to actually win the game in the air with your dragons and what have you.
All right, for Matthew Tickal, the 4-color Rally player from Minneapolis, this is his first top 8 of the season. Now, or rather, sorry, second top 8. Ben really come onto the tour with 4-color Rally. This is his, so he has 2 top 8s to his name, full-time cabinet maker. He started playing Magic all the way back in Ice Age, and this is someone that we both know actually from the Minneapolis area.
Yeah, I've been in car rides with Tickal plenty of times. Now I'm going to call bunk on this third claim here. He says he will sing along with Disney songs out loud regardless of social situation. The only social situation in which Tickal is singing Disney songs is when he's in the car with Eric Hawkins. He is piggybacking on Eric. It's not right, and I'm putting an end to it.
So it's half true. It's not regardless of the situation.
It's not a bald-faced lie, but it is stretching the truth.
That is true. I'll add a trivia. Having a road trip with them, I would say loves buffets more than anyone I've ever traveled with.
Yeah, buffets are value. I have seen Tickal get plates from a buffet to go.
Buffets, they let you do that?
Yeah.
There's no way. That breaks the buffet rule.
You get a box, you can fill it so full.
Okay.
You pay $9 and Tickal jams.
He's going to value play it if that's the case.
He's going to eat. He's going to eat that bowl of buffet food for the next 3 days.
Seems like a great play then. Smart guy.
Yeah. Smart is the word for it.
We'll look at his sideboard. 1 Netcaster Spider, 1 Felidar Cub, a Minister of Pain, 2 Arishan Clerics, a Merciless Executioner, a Fleshbag Marauder, 3 Dispels, Murderous Cut, Duress, and Abzan Ascendancy.
I am really unclear of what Abzan Ascendancy really does for this deck. I know that he's had it in the sideboard. It's fine against removal spells, though. The Rally plan is kind of getting you out of that situation anyway. So if we like this card, maybe it should just be in the main deck. I don't know. Maybe we see it come in. Tom does have a lot of removal spells. The Dispels are not going to be great against a deck without counter spells. Tom's just a creature deck. We are going to see Netcaster Spider come in. We'll see if we come into play.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets to block a Thunderbreak Regent with Netcaster Spider, and I have no expectation that will happen, actually, because Tom will kill it, but he will threaten to block it, and that's something.
Yep, Merciless Executioner, Fleshbag Marauder, not good against Thopter Engineer, very good against Thunderbreak Regent.
Yeah, so do you think you bring him in then?
It's such a toss-up. The fact that you have Jace to discard it. You can collect a company. If you see it, you can just pick a different creature. It's kind of minimal that you can just put it in your deck. I think I'd probably be bringing these ones in just to make sure I don't die to Thunderbreak region.
Well, I guess my question would be, do you expect Tom to still have hangerback walkers in after board? If the answer to that's yes, that seems like too much collateral damage for the 3/1s.
I think that's on the short list for cards that Tom actively wants to board out. We saw it appear in game 1. It's really bad against Reflector Mage. It doesn't attack for relevant damage against this deck. Blocking is not always going to be important. I think it's a little slow for this matchup.
Updates from across the bracket. Matchup Andy Ferguson versus Andrew Tenjum. Andy, his second top 8 in as many weekends with Bant Company, takes the first game. He's up 1-0 on Andrew. The winner of that will face the winner of Tom Ross, be Matthew Tickal.
Really excited for this Bant Company deck.
Well, one thing, if you want to look at this, with between 4-color rally, so Jacob Baugh, Matthew Tickal, and Andy Ferguson, all the decks that can Collected Company into Reflector Mage seem to be doing very well this weekend. And there's a lot of different shells you can do it in.
Yeah, this seems to be a great combination. Reflector Mage, really good when you cast it main phase. Even better when you do it during your opponent's attack step.
If that guy has Flash, that's really not a fair card.
No. It's kind of pushing the limits on feeling fair as is.
And then, don't even get me started on Bounding Crassus.
Don't get me started.
Oh, man. That's basically a Reflector Mage that just has Flash.
Basically.
All right, Tom's on the play for game number 2. He'll start on Smoldering Marsh.
Reflector Mage has more relevant creature types.
I think Fish and Lizard are very good creature types.
There has not historically been a ton of support for Fish or Lizards.
I believe Fish is a very popular deck with storied results.
You are not wrong, but you are stretching the truth.
Tickle.
You are just like Matt Tickal and his Disney songs.
Rocks. It is part of this statement was true. Elvish Visionary will be his play on turn 2. He draws a card.
Love it.
Nothing better to do on turn 2 than just make it's almost as good as doing nothing.
Between having a Jace on turn 2 and an Elvish Visionary on turn 2, I'm not convinced that one is better than the other.
That's a bold claim. I mean, who's going to draw more cards, Jace or Elvish Visionary?
Elvish Visionary guarantees a card, and you don't even have to discard anything.
In this matchup, I feel like actually Elvish Visionary probably draws more cards than Jace.
Jace is going to die immediately, right?
For Tom, it's Thopter Engineer. Gee, they're just playing all your favorite cards right now. Swinging for 1 by the Thopter.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? We're watching what? The top 8 of a standard tournament, and it's Elvish Visionary facing off against Thopter Engineer.
Yeah,
what have we come to?
These are very good limited decks.
Reflector Mage from Matthew Tickal bounces the Thopter token. We've noticed this before where Thopter Engineer really shines, that the card is actually excellent against Reflector Mage.
Yeah, you're not going to bounce that guy. You're bouncing a 1/1 token.
Overall 1 seed, Jacob Rupp playing Obs on blue. He takes the first game off Daniel Seidel's Mardu Tokens deck.
Okay. I picked that one to go the other way, but the Abs on blue deck, absolutely very powerful. A force to be taken seriously.
Flamewake Phoenix is the turn 4 play from Tom. He will swing in and put Tickal down to 15. His draft turn, you see Collected Company. You know, the fact that Tom does not have access to counter spells here really seems pronounced.
Yeah, this is where we're seeing the difference between Duress and Dispel.
And we'll see if Tickal has a land. He may not. Grimhar Specs, Nantuko Husk, Jace. Those are all available. He'll play the Grimhar Specs, swing with Elvish Visionary, and Tom just takes 1.
And to elaborate on that last statement, the thing about drawing Duress versus drawing Dispel, that's one thing, but representing Dispel is so easy. Leaving a swamp up is not going to make Tickal flinch. Leaving an island up is.
Player from Tom, it'll be Grasp of Darkness to take care of the Grimhar Specs.
Yep, got to get that one off the table. Tom's hand is just kind of a lot of removal.
Swing for 3. I'm a little surprised. Let's see. The Thopter Engineer swinging, does that just read Fiery Impulse to you? It's a very strange attack, right?
Tom Ross is not one to miss a chump check. Those creatures are just going to bounce off each other, but he does have the Fiery Impulse.
Today it wasn't a chump check. Today it actually killed the Reflector Mage. And I wonder whether or not this aggressive posturing from Tom is a reaction to Tickal missing his 4th land drop.
Yeah, he knows that there's no danger of a collected company here or a Rally of the Ancestors.
Yeah, if Tickal had hit the 4th land, say, and gotten a second, a prairie stream, right? I don't know that Tom can play the game this way anymore.
And he just wants to get ahead on board because, again, his hand is all removal. He does not have any of those high-impact dragons that are so important for this matchup.
Jace is the play from Matthew Tickal. Still misses the land drop, however.
Here's a PN Kieran for Ross. That's a huge draw.
Huge draw. Those ones have haste. The 1/3 has engineered them that way.
Murderous Cut follow-up is also excellent. PN Kieran doesn't get haste, so Tickal has that going for him.
Still takes 5. He'll be at 11. Jace was cut down. Just Elvish Visionary here. Reflector Mage is the draw for Matthew Tickal. I think
smattering of terrible targets for that creature.
Well, it may have to. Boy, I was gonna say he can hit Flamewake Phoenix with it. The issue here is that he's at 5, and there's a PN Kieran Nalar and 2 Thopters in play.
This feels like another one of those no-win scenarios.
A good hand for Matthew Tickal that did not. I think with 2 more lands, this one may go his way. Here's Andrew Tenjum tying up his match with Andy Ferguson. 1 game apiece. We'll bring you to that one if at the conclusion of this match, if they're still in game 3.
Reflector Mage bounced a Thopter token. That leaves Tickal dead on board to the 2 flyers and the shock.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. That is peculiar on Tickal's side to just tap out and be dead on board. I don't know that any of his plays win, but.
Yeah, this is the second time that we have had a player ask if Tom Ross sees it. Tom Ross sees everything.
Tom Ross sees it. Here's Grasp of Darkness. Here's a swing. Then we'll be on to game 3. I don't. Elvish Visionary will jump in front of Thopter Engineer. We'll check life totals here. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Tickal is still dead. I think he may have been at a slightly higher life total, but not high enough.
Yeah, if it was
not high enough.
Right, if it was 5, that attack was lethal. So not unclear what happened there, but Tom had more than enough action to get him dead.
All right, so it's back to the drawing board for the 2 of them. 2 quick games in 15 minutes. We are on to game 3. We'll look back over at Matthew Tickal's sideboard. A great opening of creatures that really got shot down by. What I thought was interesting about Tom's game is that it had no late game to it. It was just 2 mana kill spells backed up by 3 mana threats.
And it's exactly the kind of slot I talked about. Executioner and Fleshbag Marauder potentially being sideboard cards for Tickal here. Would have been real terrible in that game.
Yeah, so maybe if they're in his deck, they come back out here. If they don't interact with that draw, and that's the strategy Tom Ross wants to take, maybe Tickal has to reevaluate.
Yeah, if you can win games with your medium cards, then boarding on something that's only good against your high end in the absence of that, not really going to work out.
How good would a Netcaster Spider been there, though? I mean, it probably just would have died, but.
Yeah, it would have been real good until Tom untapped.
But for that moment, it would have reigned supreme over the battlefield.
You would see a nice twinkle in Tickle's eye until it was quickly expunged.
All right, looking at other ones. I mean, are we at the point where Tickal boards into Erishan Clerics if Tom's going to go that low to the ground?
It doesn't block the flyers, but it does gain life. It's worth the consideration. There's not a lot of copies in Tickle's deck.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
I don't know if every game is going to play out that way from Tom's deck either.
Yeah, we have seen time and again the red-black dragons just go turn 4 Thunderbreak Region, turn 5 Kolagon. That's a lot more damage output than happened that game and more than an Arishan Cleric would make up.
All right, Matthew Tickal, 4-color rally, the number 2 seed, 27th on our leaderboard, definitely moving up after this weekend. Has top 8 before, has not won a trophy just yet. Tom Ross, he's held the trophy a couple times.
He knows a thing or two about winning tournaments, that Tom Ross.
Tom Ross, 2-time invitational champion, 3-time invitational top 8 competitor, 8 Open Series top 8s. Had an SCG Open Championship just to the end of last year, defeating Eric Hawkins in the finals of Legacy.
Yeah, in short order, too. Made that one look easy, though. In fact, is a pretty bad matchup for Storm.
players here are going to get ready for Game 3. We're going to tell you about the Star City Games creature collection. So these are the things you've seen on our pins if you go to Star City Games Game Night. Also, you get them on sleeves and playmats. These are available now. Right now, you see the Grizzly brand token. This is the pin that we have on our jackets. These are some great ones. You can get them on sleeves, we mentioned. We do have them also available for previous creature collections, so if you missed one of those and still wanted to get them, you can learn more at starcitygames.com/creature collection.
Tickal's in the tank here. He does have a lot of interesting sideboard cards. Something I didn't touch on is Dispel, because in the absence of counter spells from Tom Ross, there's really not a lot you want to fight over, though the removal does remove Tickal's ability to actually play that ground game and just attack a whole lot.
It seems like Tickal has a structural advantage here, but he really can't afford to stumble. Tom attacks in the air, and Tickal does not defend in the air.
Right. He draws Netcaster Spider.
Then everything has nets on it, spiders are eating Thopters, it's just lights out.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a haymaker if I ever did see one.
Spiders are eating dragons. It's a really big spider.
Well, the dragon is also eating the spider in that situation. It's a real messy affair.
Maybe it's that the spider just overeats.
Yeah, the spider eats the dragon until its stomach explodes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lot of meat.
I like the flavor of it. The spider's only a 2/3, but I guess it's that when you throw a net on a flyer and he has the flyer on the ground, then it's prone, so now the spider gets to fight harder. That's why it turns into a 4/3.
A lot easier to do damage to something that's in a net.
Right, so it gets more. But the other creature doesn't lose toughness. Netcaster Spider gains power.
Yeah.
So maybe,
It's not the most flavorful design.
No, I think it's flavorful. I think we haven't gotten the intricacies of it right.
Oh, it could just be a little over my head.
Right, yeah, like perhaps the Netcaster Spider uses the ground as a weapon, right? So if the creature's on the ground in a net, now the spider has more power because it's hitting harder.
That's true, but couldn't it also do that to something that already just doesn't fly in the first place?
Huh, okay, no, that's a good point. So what do you guys, all right, we maybe need some help on this one.
Tweet us.
What is the flavor here with Netcaster Spider? I understand if the flying creature lost toughness. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
He's in a net, it's defenseless.
Right.
Maybe it's that the creature's on the ground, you can't throw a net on it.
It could be that the spider is stronger when it's hungry and something's caught in its net and it starts salivating and just gets real hungry strong.
Maybe its net's a web, right? So if the flying creature's caught in the web, then the spider can attack it harder. And that's why ground creatures don't get caught in webs.
I'm going to go with the hungry strong theory.
All right, Game 3 here. Matthew Tickal on the play versus Tom Ross. Players will trade tap lands to start the game. It's going to be Eiley, the Eternal Pilgrim. Just a one of in Tickal's list.
Another 2/3.
Tribal 2/3s. 4-color rally. That's how the allies like to play.
That's how you know that they're all related.
Yeah, you got Reflector Mage, you have, I guess, Catacomb Sifter. Interestingly, actually, Matthew Tickal has no copies of Catacomb Sifter today.
We got to make room for Bring to Light somehow, right? Catacomb Sifter is a card that is a little tough on the mana, though. Interesting, Tickal has 4 Elvish Visionary, which relies on the early green mana, and 2 copies of Liliana, Heretical Healer. So cutting Sifter there seems to be admitting that he doesn't think it's as powerful as the other cards. And
this is a big play. So the Eiley was hit by Grasp of Darkness, and now Matthew is going to just tap out for Abzan Ascendancy on turn 3. And this is pretty telling. I think he's reacting to the fact that Tom Ross really just killed all his creatures last game.
This is a lot better reaction to that than the Dispel as well.
So the first ability in Abzan Ascendancy is not going to do anything. No counters on Tickal's creatures, but that second one is going to be the one that counts.
Yep, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you get a 1/1 spirit with flying. Also relevant.
All flying's relevant, you're absolutely right.
Thopter coming into play for Ross, getting the flyer, would take care of that.
Yeah, so Thopter Engineer for Tom Ross, he puts Tickal down to 17. And now maybe we will see that Abzan Ascendancy, and this is huge. Grimhar Specs is played. Then Sidisi's Faithful is played. It exploits itself. So when it dies, Tickal will get a 1/1 spirit, and he will draw a card.
Now we're really playing a combo deck.
This has made me like the deck more right now. I like that. This is great.
Yeah, maybe we should just main deck this card, right?
Play is going to be, well, this is good again. Kalidas, the blood chief of the traitor to get.
That puts a lot of pressure on Tickal here, and he just blew his Sidisi's Faithful.
Does he have another one? I think he might.
Something blue.
But that's going to be a problem.
Could be a Bring the Light for a Reflector Mage.
So Bring the Light, this is a one-of in Matthew Tickal's deck.
Could also, well, he does not have 5 mana, so he can't get Murderous Cut, which is unfortunate for Tickal.
Shifting that Reflector Mage up to the top. See what else he can get here. This is the last card in Matthew's hand. But it's a pretty good one at that. Looks like possibly Liliana.
I think he's just reviewing his options. I think he's very
Netcaster Spider.
letting Tom know.
Players do have access to each other's deck lists, so showing that. But now Tom knows the Netcaster Spider's in the deck.
You're right.
He boarded it in.
So we really wanted to see Bring to Light for Netcaster Spider.
It was close.
It's going to take a Jace to make that happen now. The dream is alive, but barely.
If only that was a Thunderbreak Regent, maybe we would have seen it.
Yeah.
So it'll bounce the Kalidas. Tickal will swing in for 4, and Tom just has to pass the turn. Now Kalidas will be able to be cast again next turn. It's been reflected this time, and Rally the Ancestors is the draw for Tickal.
So I have a feeling this Sidisi's Faithful is intending on bouncing the Reflector Mage.
So casting Sidisi's Faithful. In response, Tom is going to Fiery Impulse the Grim Haruspex. Tickal gets another Spirit.
Prevents him from drawing a card, which is good, but those spirits are not nothing.
And he's slowly building a Spirit army here. So now Sidisi's Faithful's in play. If you're Tickal, you have to bounce the Reflector Mage, right?
Leaving the Sidisi's Faithful in play as a 0/4 and not bouncing anything is not going to feel good.
I like this bounce of Reflector Mage.
Yeah, I think that's the line here.
That seems fine. He'll get another. He's slowly building Spirit tokens. This Obs on Ascendancy, for the record, has already paid for itself.
Absolutely.
Bounces Reflector Mage. And gets a Spirit.
So Tom pulled the trigger on killing the Haruspex pretty quickly. I wonder if this Bouncer Reflector Mage line was on his radar, because that's going to be a significant blow to Tom's tempo with that Kalidas.
Of note, if you kill the Sidisi's Faithful with the Exploit trigger on the stack, the bounce won't happen. The creature still needs to be in play for the Exploit to work. So Kalidas is the recast by Tom. He's down to 13, but Tickal's at the ready with an answer. And, you know, he's just going to fire it off immediately. It's Reflector Mage once again for Kalidas. And with that bounce on the stack, Tom is going to cast Murderous Cut. That's another Spirit.
Yeah, removing the Mage is good there.
Yeah, the Mage will be exiled. Tom will get a zombie. That's the plus side. So, sorry, no Spirit here.
Right. Creature exiled.
Creature is exiled. Jace will be in play.
The dream is back alive.
There are enough cards in Tickal's graveyard. We can bring to light for Netcaster Spider. I don't think that's what he'd bring to light for.
No, there's just no way.
There's no way that's the right play.
There are more Reflector Mage in the deck.
Unless they're all in Tickal's hand, in which case this game's over.
Yeah.
Update from last week, Andy Ferguson with Bant Company, 2-1. He takes the win over Andrew Chenjum, and he will be waiting in the semifinals for either Tom Ross or Matthew Tickal.
Great showing from Ferguson. Love that deck.
It is Draconic Roar, revealing Thunderbreak Regent that takes down the Jace. Matthew gets a 4th Spirit token, takes 3 damage. Tom swings in. Tickal's at 10. Tom Ross is at 10. This one's getting very close. And it is another Jace for Matthew Tickal. And here's 4 power in the air. He has Tom Ross down to 6.
Yeah, and Tickal has a Rally the Ancestors in his hand and access to at least one way to bounce a creature in the graveyard.
Let's make sure he has double white.
Oh,
he does not.
That looks to be the missing link. Yeah, the dual end on the bottom of that stack is a Sunken Hollow.
So a Rally in his hand. Tom Ross at 6. Looks like 5. He's going to deal 3 more to Tickal.
Yeah, Roar is a good one to drag. If we see Kolagon here, there's a Spirit token, so that would jump in the way of the dragon anyway.
With a white mana, This is almost certainly going to be game for Matthew Tickal. Oh, this is close either way.
Just as a razor close game. Tickal's top deck is going to be huge here.
Zombie and Thopter Engineer swing in. Will Tickal go to 4 or will he chump part of it? Goes to 4. He knows Thunderbreak Regent's in Tom's hand. He knows Kalidas is in Tom's hand. There's one more card. Tickal doesn't know it. We know it's a Polluted Delta. This will be the trader to get for Tom. We're back to Matthew Tickal. Can he find the white mana source?
If that was a white source, I have to believe it would already be in play.
Because Tom killed the Jace, I think Tickal's plan originally would be to block with the Jace, tap it, and deny the life gain from Kalidas. That would be so very important.
And as things stand, Tickal is 1 point shy of lethal.
5 flyers in play, Tom Ross at 6.
And when he starts having to block Kalidas, those lifelink swings are just going to close this game quickly.
He swings with 1 spirit. That looks like a man who's going to quadruple block Kalidas.
Given the play here, wouldn't be surprised if the draw step was another Rally of the Ancestors. But if it is a collected company, we have a game again.
Here's Flamewake Phoenix. Matthew Tickal's at 4. Tom Ross will swing the team.
This is the moment of truth here. We'll find out what Tickal's draw was.
Did he get that white mana? I don't think so. 2 in front of the zombie, 1 in front of the vampire, taking 3. He can have 1 more turn at getting a plains.
I think is this 2 in front of the zombie, or is this 1 in front of the zombie and 1 in front of the engineer?
Not entirely certain. I think he actually wants to stay at 2 in case he draws a fetch land. Yeah, I think he's taking 2 off Flamewake.
Yeah, that block makes a lot more sense. There's no real reason to get that zombie off the table.
Okay, no, it's 2 in front of the zombie.
Oh, okay, I
so
do like this block less.
Yeah, it means that how's he going to get his white mana source?
Right. It is 2 rallies. We just see that now.
He's going to draw a fetch land. Did it get there?
That's a collected company.
That could help him survive. Does he do it main phase? Does he wait? These are tough questions.
Let's see. What could happen if he does it main phase? You can find an Elvish Visionary and draw a card. There's nothing that you care about Reflector Maging now versus later. He's going to do it main phase.
Just find Zulaport Cutthroat.
Ouch.
That's not enough.
No.
He needed at least a Reflector Mage for that one to work. At 1 life. I believe this is going to be lights out for Matthew Tickal. And so close, got within 1 point of damage to Tom Ross. Had the lethal Rally of the Ancestors in hand, but no way to cast.
Not clear that Tickal is dead on this turn. You know, Ross is going to have to do something. There is parity of creatures.
It's true. However, with Matthew Tickal losing his whole board here, the question for me would be is if he draws the white mana the next turn, is that even enough anymore?
Though it is also true that the Zulaport Cutthroat is not a good blocker because it would be exiled to the Kalidas.
And then another zombie would happen. Tickal would not gain life.
And I don't believe that there's any more Cutthroats in Tickal's graveyard, so the rally is going to have a difficult time actually winning the game.
You can't bounce Thunderbreak Regent.
Yep.
Draw for Tickal. Thinking about it?
Looks like a collected company.
Not bad.
Shows the rally's face up.
Oh, the problem here is that he's not going to be able to bounce. He can't do anything about Thunderbreak Regent.
Nope.
And that will have it. Tom Ross in 3 defeats Matthew Tickal and makes it into the top 4. A very close fought game 3.
Yeah, and interestingly, it looked like Tickal easily gets that one if his mana is just a little more cooperative.
He's so close. He's got 5 spirit tokens in play off Obs on Ascendancy. Oh, that one's so hard to let go away.
Yep.
Great top 8 finish for Matthew Tickal. For Tom Ross, though, 2-1 win means he moves on to the semifinals to face Andy Ferguson and Bant Company.